All right, welcome back. In our last video, we fixed up our hotbar so we can pick up items into the hotbar. And in this video, and we're no longer putting them in our inventory, by the way, in our backpack. We'll do that later with some drag and drop stuff. You'll be able to put stuff in your backpack. In this video, what I want to do is make these selectable. So right now they're just kind of dead. They don't, they're there, but we want to be able to highlight them. So how are we going to go about that? Well, there's several things we need to do. The first thing we need to do is create some action mappings for our characters. So we're going to go here to Edit, Project Settings, and down here in Input, on action mappings, we're going to click an action mapping here, and we're going to call it Select Hotbar Item. And it needs several. So we'll do keyboard 1, and we'll hit plus. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll make it keyboard 2. Keyboard 3, keyboard 4, keyboard 5, keyboard 6, keyboard 7, and keyboard 8. So this is going to set it up so that our number keys 1 through 8 select an item in our hotbar. And so I'm going to close this. Now in my player character base, I'm going to come over here to functions and create a new function, and we're going to call this key to enum. And that might not be the best name for this, so I'm going to call this hotbar key to enum. All right. Back here in our HUD area, because this enumeration applies only to the HUD, to simplify things. Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. In mid-stride, we're not going to do the enum. We're going to just do key to int. Just create an integer value out of it. Now, it needs an input over here. We'll call it key. And its type is going to be exactly that, key. This is a special structure, this key structure, that we have to compare with another with a key in order to evaluate it. And so cast to int, it doesn't really cast to turn base. Yeah, see, there's no way to just cast this like to an integer or get an integer value out of it or anything. So what do we have to do here? Well, what we have to do, first of all, we need an output. And the output is going to be slot number, and we'll make it just an integer. All right, and we'll break this link here. So this is a little bit grindy. What we have to do here is we have to go equals key by hitting double equals key, and then we have to do a branch on that. And if it's true that it equals a keyboard 1, then we will return a 1. All right. Now what I'm going to try to do is compact this as much as I can. Well, not too much, because we got to chain these together in a strange way. I'm going to copy these And I'm just going to start pasting them down here and lining them up more or less. There's 3, 4. Okay. I guess I can just copy all those now and come down here a ways and line them in like this. All right. We have to hook the false into this one, and this false into this one, and this false into this one, and so forth, right down the line. Chain these all together. And then we got to go set everything up. So the first one is 1. We need to hook these in. This one is keyboard. This is where it gets a little grindy. 2, keyboard. 3. I'm going to scan out here a little bit so that I can try to hook these up if I can see. Just got to hook these all the way down. Then we'll go back and set the numbers. I don't want to forget anything here. All right. Those are hooked up. So we got key 3, keyboard again. This is 4. Then keyboard 5. And so forth down the line. Just keep hooking them up. That's 6. Now we want 7, and then 8. And this was really the easiest way I could figure out to do this, but it gets me to a number from a key with only one mapping. Well, the one action mapping. This one's 4, not 41. 4. Be careful typing these in. 5. Make sure they are hooked up to the right one. This is 6. This is 7. Oh, this should be 8. No. And we're off by 1. This needed to be 0. And I'll tell you why. 1, because of zero-based indexing. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. This is 6. And this one here is 7. Okay. So even though we're pressing the 1 key, what we want is index 0. And we can probably make these look a little bit nicer by pulling them over so those wires don't quite look so bad. All right. What we really want is this is going to be slot number 0 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. Okay, good. So we're returning those values. Compile and save that. Compile and save. I don't know why it did that. All right. Now we'll go back to our event graph and we need to, well, actually, no, we need to go over to our hotbar. All right, so the hotbar, this is a little bit more tricky here. We need a function here. So, yeah, I'm going to create a function. I'm going to call it select hotbar item. All right, so this function is going to need access to our hotbar item in a very specific way. So our hotbar is really our inventory slot is what it's going to ultimately need access to. So here's our inventory slot, and we've got this border right here, and we set this border to some dark gray color, which is fine, 0.07. What we're going to do is take that brush color there and cancel that, and come over here to bind and select create binding. All right. Then we're going to take this return value here and promote it to a variable, and we're just going to call that variable border color. All right. And that's really simple. That's taken care of, except on border color we want to do instance editable, and I think expose on spawn. Compile and save that. All right, that's all set up, except we want to set a default value. Right now it's probably set to black, so let's make it 0.1, 0.1, and 0.1 as the default value. It's very black, very dark. 0.1. 0.1 up here. There we go. Very black. Okay, that's the default value, and we can remember that easily enough, the 0.1. All right. Let's compile and save that. And here in our hotbar widget, select items. So this function needs an input. And the input is going to be an integer, and it's going to be the item to select, and it's not going to have any output. So what it needs to do is take this inventory grid first of all, and it needs to get our inventory just to make sure, in case we should change something. We don't want to hard code numbers. We want to get that number of items, number of slots, and like always we want to subtract 1 from it, and we want to create a for loop. Put that into the last index, so it's 0 to that number of slots minus 1. Good. Then we want to get this inventory grid that we've got here, and what we want to do is inventory grid. We've got to get child at. Sorry. We're going to get the child at this index, and that child has to be cast. So we're going to cast this to inventory slot. And as an inventory slot, we can now set the border color, and we're going to set it back to that default value of 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. All right. So that clears them all out. Then we kind of have to do the same thing again, but with this. So I'm going to take this and promote it to a local variable. I only need it for right now, so it's going to happen every time. So we'll just promote that to a local variable, and we'll call this local variable selected item. So we'll take selected item over here. We'll take our inventory grid again. We will get child at. I'll zoom in here a little bit. This index. We will then again cast this one cast to inventory slot. And then we'll come out here and we will set border color. And this is going to set the one we selected. And we'll, I don't know what makes a good selected color. We want it, I suppose, kind of dark. Let's make it a green. Let's make it a darkish green. Let's make it a little darker than that. Something like that. Okay, good. One last thing to do is to come over here to the, first of all, let me make sure everything's compiled. Let's go back to here, just in case of a crash, save all. Yeah, we're good. Player character. Now, on the player character, we need to do that, get that input action. Input action, select hotbar item. And you notice we've got this key. And that's great because we can take this hotkey to int and pressed, bring the key into here, and now we've got this slot number. Okay, so now what do we have to do? We have to call that hotbar. So what do we have to do? We have to get the player controller. We have to get the HUD, and we have to cast, oh no, yeah, cast to main HUD. So far so good. We have to come here and get the common HUD, and we can pull this down around because we also want to then get the hotbar widget. And on this, we want to call set. I want to call select hotbar item. And the slot number here is what we want to use. You can just do that. Pull this down. And there we go. And I believe, let's comment this, select hotbar item. I think we hit everything. If we didn't, we'll troubleshoot it. Well, let's check it out and see if we did something wrong. So I hit 1. It selected it. 2. It selected it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it is. So that shows that one of those is selected. But there's one other thing I want to do here, and this is in the player character base, is I want to take that selected item number and I'm going to promote that to a variable. So let's start by stretching this out, then pulling these over a bit, and let's get this slot number and let's promote it to a variable. This into here, this into here, and this new variable here, we'll call it selected hotbar number. And in the event that none of them are selected at the time, we'll have it default at -1. Once you've actually selected one in the current mode, there's going to be, one of them's always going to be selected, except when you first start up. We could actually call this on begin play, and Actually, we could hook in a custom event here, probably. No. Yeah, no. We'll just leave it. They're unselected for now. We might do something different later, but that way we know what item in our inventory or hotbar is currently selected, so we can take other actions, like we could eat an apple if it's selected, or we could use a hatchet. Either way, we might move into our hands if we get into some animation with the hands and so forth, but I think this is looking pretty good. Let's double check, make sure everything works. We can go over here and pick up some apples. We can hit one and select it, and at some point in time, once we select one of these, we could do something like U to eat an apple, and it would take one of the apples away and give us some health or less hunger or whatever we might do with it. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button. And if you would like to get notifications when I upload new videos, hit that notify button. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.